Hi there. This video will show you how to set up a Raspberry Pi headless. Headless means no keyboard, mouse, or monitor attached directly to the Raspberry Pi. You will need some supplies. Obviously, you need the Raspberry Pi with a power supply. This is model 4, but the instructions are the same for different generations such as 3B or 3B+. You will need a memory card. I suggest getting one that is good quality. Good quality doesn't necessarily mean a specific brand, but rather something optimized for applications. So look for the A1 badge on the package. That is something that you want. The rest of the work is done on a PC. You will need to download the Raspberry Pi operating system and install it onto the memory card. And also you'll need to configure Wi-Fi access on there as well. So let's move on to the PC part and see how it goes. The first thing you need to do on your PC is to download the Raspberry Pi operating system. It's a simple search online. You can search for Raspberry Pi downloads. The first hit, at least on my search engine here, is on the Raspberry Pi website. If you bought the memory card as part of the kit with Raspberry Pi, it may have come with a Noobs installer, but this is geared towards someone who has a keyboard and mouse and monitor. Since this is headless, that doesn't really work. The Imager works fine for this. So download the version appropriate for your operating system. I'm running Windows here, and install it on your PC. This tool will take care of most of the process, and it's mostly automatic, straightforward. So wait for it to install. In the meantime, you can unpack your memory card and insert it into your PC. You might need an adapter, depending if you have a micro SD slot or not. Choose the OS. The version I recommend is the default one, which is Raspberry Pi OS. It's a Linux operating system. I just inserted my memory card, so simply select it from the list. Make sure it's the right one in case you have additional USB devices connected. And choose Write. This will take a couple minutes. Just be patient and wait for that to finish. Alright, so the installer has finished. We're not done yet. There's one more step here, which is configuring the Wi-Fi access. If you plan to use the connection wired, you can skip that step. The newly written card is not recognized yet by Windows. So for that to happen, you need to remove it for a moment from your PC and reinsert it. You can close the Raspberry Pi Imager, it's no longer needed. Open up Windows Explorer. And you should see the memory card as a drive called boot. You need to add 2 files to this location. These instructions are for Windows. If you run another operating system, it's not that different. Additional challenge with Windows is your Windows operating system might hide file system extensions. So make sure for that step you change under View. You make sure you show file name extensions, and it might be useful to see the details here as well. You can just right-click here and use the option to create a text document. But make sure you change the name, including the extension. The first one is called SSH. This is just a blank file. Don't worry about Windows complaining about the rename, just say yes. Okay, just a blank file called SSH that tells the Raspberry Pi to enable SSH access, which is remote access from the outside by default. So make sure this here says file, not text file. Next file created is called WPA supplicate conf. Same method to create. Make sure you erase that .txt portion. That is the correct name. Confirm the rename. and edit that with whatever tool you want. For example, Notepad, you can just say open with. Notepad, you can choose it from options if it's not available. What goes in here is basic configuration for your Wi-Fi network. Here's an example of a default one, and you would have to fill in what you need to configure. For example, is your country code, a 2-letter ISO country code. I'm located in Canada, so my letters are CA. You can easily look it up online, just search for ISO country codes. Here's a Wikipedia page that has that information. 2-letter codes for all the countries in the world. So just find yours. For example, if you live in Brazil, it's BR. That's essentially it. So that's the 2 letters. For Brazil or any other country, you choose yours. And the rest goes in here. 2 or 3 lines. If your network is hidden, then you can add this line. Otherwise, you don't need it. This is just for non-broadcasting SSID. This is the name of your Wi-Fi network. You need to customize that, and then you put your password in here. Once you set it all up, you save the changes, and you can remove the card for the next step. So if you use an adapter, now it's time to remove the card from it. Raspberry Pi OS runs directly from the memory card. The memory card slot is on the bottom of the Raspberry Pi. Make sure when you insert it, the label on the memory card is facing bottom of the case. Be careful when you insert it. You might need to use your fingernail. Don't force it. It will stick out a little bit, as you can see it here. Connect to power. You want to see that green LED flashing, because when it's flashing, means the memory card is being read. At the same time, there's some diagnostic codes that the Pi communicates through those green flashes as well. So regular flashing, 3 or 4 or something like this, at equal intervals, repeating like Morse code, means there's something wrong. Try reinserting the card. First unplug the power, reinsert the card, and try again. Or you might need to re-image the card or set up the Wi-Fi again. There's lots of online tutorials to tell you how to diagnose it. It looks like mine is working fine. You usually want to wait a couple minutes before trying to connect for the Pi to establish itself. The first boot requires an extra step, which is resizing the file system. But once you see the LED more or less stops flashing, the green one, you can see if you can connect from your PC. The software I recommend to connect to a Raspberry Pi from your PC is called PuTTY. It's free and open source. You can download it from putty.org. The default settings are fine. The only parameter here you need is the hostname, which is Raspberry Pi. There shouldn't be any additional configuration necessary. Sometimes in some systems, you might need to add .local. For me, it doesn't really matter. So hit open. The first time you connect, you'll get prompted with a security alert. This is nothing to worry about. PuTTY is asking you whether you trust a remote host. If you don't want to see that warning every time, you can permanently add an exception by selecting yes here. Obviously, you trust your own Raspberry Pi here. The default username is Pi, and the password is Raspberry. If you've never used the Linux operating system before, you might find yourself surprised that you don't see anything when you press password, not even any dots or asterisks. This is normal. That's how this is designed. So just type in your password and press enter. And so it looks like we're in, and the installation was successful. There are 2 things that still need to be done: changing password and updating the system. Password, the command is passwd. You don't want the default password in your system. Pick something that you can remember. You ask for your current password, which is Raspberry. And the new password, again, none of the passwords will be shown here. There you go. Remember to use the new password next time. System update, the command is sudo apt update. This will connect to the internet and update the software cache, whatever new software titles are available since this distribution was published. That doesn't actually install the updates. For that, you need another command, very similar, sudo upgrade. This might take a while depending on the number of updates available and the speed of the internet connection. Here I have to download 161 megabytes. So just hit yes and wait for that to finish. Depending on the type of updates that you get, a reboot might be necessary. The command for that is sudo reboot. Keep in mind that when you reboot, you will get disconnected. You will need to reconnect using PuTTY in a couple minutes when the system comes back. So this is perfectly normal. The system is restarting right now. Just wait for it to come back. All right, looks like the system has rebooted. Let's reconnect and make sure that everything is working. Make sure to use your new password. Everything seems in order. The only thing left is save shutdown procedure. So when you're done with the Raspberry Pi, if you wish to turn it off, never unplug the power. You need to shut down the system first. The command for that is sudo power off. This will safely shut down the system. In a few moments, you'll be able to unplug the power. So make sure you observe the green LED. When it stops flashing, you can unplug the power. So that concludes the headless Raspberry Pi setup. I hope that you found it useful. And if you did, please subscribe, and I'll make more videos like that. Thank you.